Champ.
I don't like to use elegant. Don uses
Well, yeah. Champ, turns away. Champ, is the layup, is that going to be advantageous to Oscar?
the layoff. I
Yeah.
think the layoff helps Oscar. I think the layoff helped Oscar based on two things. I think one, he had a chance to regroup. He had a chance to get his soul and his spirit together, whether he was going to continue to do this after the fight with me, which lasted 9 rounds. I think that when you look at two fighters, and one fighter doesn't smoke, doesn't live reckless, and then you got another fighter that does all that and say that it's good for him because he's not human, he can do these things and still be successful. I think when you look at the talent and you look at the lifestyle, if I was a betting man from the Fortune 500 corporate America, I would bet on the guy that has the fresher body, the fresher mind, and the guy that had that time to rest, like Oscar De La Hoya.
Champ, we talk about two, and the greatest middleweight champ of all time. You can't take it even.
I believe I'll be in the top 5 when it's all said and done.
Well, you're there. There's no question about it. Champ, the transition from fighting, promoting, and going back. You talked about the difficulty in that somewhat. Is that most all psychological than anything else?
Hey, brother, say it again. Thank you. Say it again.
The transition from fighter, promoter, and then going back into the ring. Is that psychological?
No, because what I've been doing my whole career, and that's a great question, but it's a question that I've already answered even when I was early active in my career. How is it the transformation from a fighter to a promoter and businessman? Was it difficult? And I tell them, have you been watching me for my career? Bernard, I've been following you all your career. I said, who do you think came up with the mask? I said, who do you think came up with the last meal? Who you think went to Puerto Rico and told them about their flag? Who you think said this at the press conference, said that at the press conference? You know what I've been doing in my whole career? Is managing and promoting myself already. So now that I'm leaving boxing after one fight, I don't have to rehearse or get comfortable on stage or even do what we're doing now, because you know what? I've been promoting myself all my career. Everyone know me in boxing. Fan, writer, promoter, manager. I've been the system. I've been my own best promoter. And even got the Manager of the Year award 2 years ago up in New York City from the Boxing organization, which is a prestigious award, Manager of the Year. So when they say, how this transformation feels to you, what transformation? They said, well, Bernard, you're a golden boy, and you got to do this. I said, what the hell do you think I've been doing all my career? I never been promoted. I promoted myself. And I went in the ring and I executed 20 defenses. I had the $250,000 they paid me to wear Golden Palace on my back. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And I told them I'm going to knock Tito out. What'd I do? In this town, I went and did that. Well, who promoted that sponsorship? I did. That was gangster. Interpretation, that means bold, good, thorough, bodacious. Ridiculous. So when the question comes about the transformation between fighter and boxer, promoting, I think, no disrespect to anybody to ask that question, because I'm willing. Look, I never have a short word to a microphone. But if they really think about the question before they ask me, they'll say, you know what, I can't ask him that. Because I've been knowing him and writing him, whether I agree with half the stuff he did in his career or not. He's been his own man. I've done it my way, the Frank Sinatra song that I'm so tired, attached to. This is an easy transformation. I think right now, and I mentioned earlier, on this podium, and I want everybody to hear this, we're going to be the biggest threat than I was when I was really active in my career outside of the promotion business. See, everybody has their time, and I understand a lot of people were shaking their head like, damn, that was deep. No, it wasn't. It was deep, but it was real. That was real talk. If a fighter has his time to come and then lead a game because of time, then we are preparing ourselves now to be the boxing best promoter in the boxing industry right now. Because why? Time is on our side. And we have something that no other promoter in the history of boxing ever had. We got Boxing Hall of Fame status, credibility. And so we got an opportunity to give them a polluted water, or we got an opportunity to give them the clear water. And the biggest test for Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins is not going to be who we sign as a champion, who we sign as contenders, who we sign as fighters. Because they look at us and they gravitate to us because they know that we've been through what they've been through and we're not going to hurt them. The biggest test for Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins is that we don't, quote, become those who we dispose. Let me run that past you again.
Hit it one more time.
The biggest test for Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins in time is not going to be about how many fighters we can get. It's how many fighters we can make champions. The biggest test for us is going to be, because we're going to be the best, if not the top 3 right now, based on the 4 or 5 pay-per-view fights that we have to do this year. Shane and Vargas just did over 400,000 buys. Shocked. Look on the end. Yeah, it's out. Ask Mark. Taffeter.
Go ahead, Mr. Promoter. Tell him. Give him the facts, Mr. Promoter.
The facts is that the promoter have a short window, the fighter have a short window. We all have time to live and die and pass on, whether we live to another adventure, to another job, to another challenge. No one speaks about the promoter's time when his legs get rubbery, when his reflexes get short. Doesn't promoters deal with numbers and deal with being quick-wit? Don't they lose? As you get older, you know, my grandmother, 90. She's in good health, but she's not as sharp as she used to be. Because we all deteriorating as days go by. Believe it or not, nothing's falling off your body, but believe it or not, the longer you live, the older you get. So they're not as sharp, you know, the guy with the, not as sharp as they used to be. But I am. And they, right now, looking at us like, wait a minute. We thought this was a prop. We thought Bernard was this figure behind Golden Boy and they just using his name. And some took pop shots that this was a game. Oh, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing that, he don't have it. They just using a figurehead in the situation. Oh, I ain't the front man. No, I ain't the guy in the neighborhood, you know, Big Leroy, the black guy, that telling everybody in the neighborhood he owned a bar. But on Sunday, you see this little Rosenthal or this little Italian guy,
Jewish guy,
Rosenthal or a little Italian guy come out with a bag of money, and it's his bar, but he gave him the front man. No. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Philadelphia. I see it all the time. I used to always wonder, damn, Big Leroy got the Cadillac, got the hat, got all the rings on every finger, but who's this white man every Sunday coming out of there with a bag in his hand? That was the guy that owned it. I'm not that guy. I'm a partner with a share in the company. So if he do like my friend Bob Johnson did to Viacom and sold it for $2 billion, I don't know how much I get out of that because I need a calculator.
But you're going to get something.
But I'm going to get something, at least 7%.
You're going to get paid.
This is the biggest threat. See, when I was in the ring, whether I lost a fight, didn't lose a fight, I'm not here to argue that. Whether I retire or anything like that, that was one thing. My time had to come and go as a fighter physically. The biggest fear for my adversaries is if this joker becomes boxing business promoter and Oscar put his arms around him so he got a bank behind him too, I ain't got a poor guy around me. This guy embraced me is not a guy that's eating government cheese. Now they got to say, now wait a minute. If he lives till he's 60 or 70 or 80 years old, Bernard Hopkins, if they can sit and listen to Don King and laugh at that nonsense, y'all can listen to me. At least I'm going to talk some sense and give you something to think about. But, with Dom is famous for saying things and making you laugh because he sort of control people and sort of train people to anything he say. They laugh at him. But it took a skilled guy, and I ain't saying the only guy, to be able to see what he's doing years ago. I'll be more of a threat to them as a promoter than I was in that ring. Watch, because now I done flipped over to the corporate world. Put the suit on and come in there, and they be like, they figure they got the upper hand because they got some kind of degree. And then when they sit down there and you talk to me, say, man, what school you go to? It's called the University of Life. Well, how many years is that? Well, I'm 41. Just say out of 41, it was 20-something years of that I learned. It's natural talent, man. Nobody teaching me this. Ain't nobody teaching me that. When I realized that it's great to have a manager, it's great to have a promoter, but in time, why cannot learn their job? What do you mean you want to learn their job? You're a fighter. You're supposed to be in the ring. You got to concentrate on boxing. Let me handle the business and you handle the boxing. I said, well, I understand that, but I want to learn what I generate outside the ring, foreign sales, my look, my lightness, how valuable that is 10, 15 years from now. And if I become one of them elite athletes, I want to be able to, for my daughter or my kids, or whether they're here or whether they're on the way, I want to be able to do with the Kennedys and the Rockefellers, other than the bootlegging thing. I would rather, I would rather them to live into the world called wealth and not just rich, because with wealth it takes more than a couple of bad decisions to become poor, because you're wealthy. But if you're rich and you take a couple of bad decisions, you're wiped out. I know a lot of rich, broke people now. You understand what I'm saying? But I know no wealthy, broke person. So once I understood the corporate world, I said, wow, you mean to tell me that by me going in the ring at a certain status of my life and my career, that I can generate more money and interest outside of just hitting somebody in the ring and getting one check and that's it? You mean to tell me I can log all the rights that my fights that's important to boxing history, like my 20 defenses, broke Manzone and broke Hagler's record? You mean to tell me that 5 or 10 or 15, 20 years, they might talk about me if I live to see 80 and 90 and somehow can benefit off that footage? You mean to tell me that is other revenues out there that, I mean, they turn me out. I mean, when I realized that I am a commodity once you reach a level in basketball and football and boxing, that I can.
Enough said.
Por favor, suscríbete a nuestro canal de YouTube Las 5 Esquinas de Nueva York.